Chat with Friends. Do not adjust your screens. Do not check your calendars. We are here live on Tuesday, September 13th. We'll get a little programming note out of the way, then I'll introduce my friends and we'll get started. For those who follow our Thursday show, we have been skewing mostly AEW lately for a variety of reasons, and there's so much going on in the wrestling world that we felt it necessary to add a second show so we can talk about the two most important companies on the wrestling planet and give them each equal time. I am EJ the Collector. I am joined tonight for our debut show by my friend, my mentor, the best podcast producer I know, Cheats Two Belts. Cheats, how you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Excited to be here on a Tuesday night.
We also have someone you're all going to recognize, a frequent contributor to Wrestling Chat with Friends, our man Ali. My guy, how you feeling?
Great to be with you all.
Hope you're caught up on all your WWE action. So I've said we start in this Tuesday show. We're still doing our Thursday show. It's going to be AEW heavy. Myself, Cheats, and our favorite heel and heels, Megan. That's going to stay the same. But Tuesday night, we're going to come on here. We're going to discuss Friday SmackDown. We'll discuss Raw. As we grow the show, we'll talk more about NXT. I think that's the company I sort of know the least bit about, but I've started to watch more. I'm excited about it, so we'll get into all of that. So before we get jumping into SmackDown and Raw, I want to take a quick pulse check. And friends, if you're out there, you can give me the pulse check too. We are on YouTube, Wrestling Chat with Friends, Twitter, WCWF Pod. And we're also now going live on Wrestling Chat with Friends, the Facebook page. So check it all out. Give us all follows and shares and likes. Cheats and Ali, right now, what's your current interest in the product, 1 to 10? And give me a word that would describe WWE right now before we jump heavy into the action. Ali?
Ooh, maybe an 8 or a 9.
Okay. Is that increase from what it was, say, 5 months ago?
Oh, absolutely. 5 months ago was unwatchable. My interest was below 0.
And now it's an 8. Okay. So we can talk about it, but probably key reason being there's a generational change in leadership, which I'm sure things are now being run, hopefully, a lot differently. And that continues to evolve. So are you giving all praise to Triple H?
Sure. I mean, he deserves credit, but I will say that as someone who's not an expert, who's not an insider, I'll just say that watching the show, it's literally 1,000% more coherent just week to week. And it's only been like 3 or 4 weeks. So there's been an easy, dramatic upswing. So yeah, sure, I'll give all that. I don't know what's happening on the inside, but I'll give all the credit to Triple H.
Okay. So if you describe WWE in one word right now, what word would that be?
Oh, exciting.
Exciting. I like it. Hard agree too. Cheats, what you got for me? Where do you rank it right now as far as your interest in the product? And give me a word that describes WWE right now.
I'm going to give it a 7, and I think give it some room to grow, but I am excited about the new regime. So I'm excited about Triple H coming in. I'm excited about Vince exiting. And I do think that there is a lot of opportunity there. He said it with an interview recently with Ariel Helwani, where he doesn't necessarily look at AEW as competition, but let's see how it goes now that he has all of his toys and they have all of their toys. And I think that's going to make for better storylines, better creative, better wrestling. And I think we have two companies now that we can really follow. And whether it's not necessarily apples to apples at this point, it is an exciting time, I think, for the WWE because for the first time in 50 plus years, we really have a new regime or a new leader at the head of WWE's creative and process, and I do think that's going to make it's already made for, I think, some exciting returns, some exciting surprises, and an exciting product. So I'm going to give it a 7, and I think the word I would use is opportunity. They have an opportunity to really cement what's going to be the future of this legendary company.
No doubt about it. They are still behind the wheel, in charge, driving things. I think all three of us are big fans of the company down in Jacksonville. But this is WWE is not a startup company. They know what they're doing, and they now have the main guy in charge, and he's not new to the game either. So when they want to step on the gas, they've always been able to, and you probably have to give currently, especially with the entire climate right now, advantage WWE. I'm going to give it a 7 also for all those reasons. And the word I would use is it's on the upswing. I'm now making it slightly more appointment television to watch, which I, like Ali, was not doing before. So with that in mind, the new creative team brought SmackDown back on Friday, September 9th to Seattle, Washington. It's a great wrestling town. It's a great town. If you've ever been there, go be there. Shout out to my family in Bellevue. The show, coming off the heels of Clash in the Castle, they showed a clip package highlighting, the main event, Roman, Drew, Sikoa interfering and making his presence felt. But the show opened right with a really big trios match. Yeah, it was the Brawling Brutes and Imperium. Imperium is fully back together. The Brawling Brutes came out looking really good after Clash in the Castle, even though Walter retained the title. Did either of y'all watch SmackDown and watch this match?
I did.
You did? Okay. My thoughts, just real quick. Imperium looks to be very over. I think the fans have definitely like what they are seeing from those three, and the fact that the Vinci is now back with them makes Imperium, as dominant as they were back in NXT. They had a great. I think they also have one of the great entrances right now in wrestling. It's so intimidating, especially for me. It's scary, but I love it. And let's just say this: Sheamus right now is having a renaissance. He is super over right now. These guys all battled it out for about 20 minutes. So let's give some just quick takes. What you thought of the match? What you think? Sheamus, does he continue his feud with Gunther? Does he take the title? And what is Gunther looking at next? Shoot it on real quick. Ali, your thoughts?
I've been a big Sheamus fan for a long time, and actually we've been wondering why over the last 5 years, why he kept falling down the card. I vaguely recall that my man was injured and had a lot of injuries, so he looks great. He looks great in the ring. He's always been a great performer. So I hope that he's healthy, and if he is, I would love for this to continue. I really like Gunther rather, because what I love about wrestling is that you portray a character, right? But then the pageantry of that character should show up in the ring as well. The way that person works in the ring should contribute to that story, and he's the total package. In the ring, out the ring, whether he's talking or whether he's doing an entrance, he looks great. He presents that character really well, and I think working with Sheamus is really elevating him. I love Sheamus, would love to see him with the title, but really I think Walter has to come out looking strong from this. So I'm okay with Sheamus taking the title and then Walter getting it back. Regardless, though, that's part of this optimism with WWE. I'm excited to see what comes next. I'm open, as opposed to just 5 months ago, I was like, oh my God, they're going to screw him up. And I really thought that he was done for. I was like, it's going to be like all the rest. It's going to be like Shinsuke. It's going to be like all the other guys they've ruined. But I'm excited that may not be the case.
Yeah, bring Shinsuke back. That guy's fantastic. Walter, to his credit, transformed his body too and has made the most of his opportunity. Let's just pick it up. Imperium got the win in this match. Cheats, your thoughts on Imperium and the Brutes? Where are they going?
Well, I think when we talk about Gunther and Sheamus, we just have to back up, because the Clash of the Castle match was rated by Dave Meltzer as a 5-star match. It was a brutal, awesome kind of just war, right? Gunther gets the win. They bring back Imperium together, which is again another thing that you put your stamp on creative and Triple H and those guys, because they've done little subtle things. We'll talk about this in the future, but obviously bringing back Hit Row, bringing back Imperium, bringing back a lot of the black and gold brand stars, or getting them back in the fold, is all a part of this. It's all a part of what's making kind of this product exciting. But we don't want to bury the lead, and I think the lead is Gunther. The guy was a world champion in NXT UK. Imperium comes over here. He becomes a really, really amazing character in NXT, and now he's on the main roster and doing the things that he did to make himself phenomenal in all the places he's been. That guy is a wrestling star savant or whatever. And the fact that real wrestling fans really are kind of respecting what he's doing. And now you add that element, like you said, Elliot, of Imperium back together, one of the best one of the best intros that we've seen in a long time. They've got a real opportunity to do something that's real special for, let's just face it, three guys that don't necessarily look like traditional WWE superstars, and they're not even, they're not American. So it's like they have all of these elements that make themselves special. I think the key element is that Walter can really go in the ring. And to Sheamus's credit, Sheamus is getting in that. He's getting in that vein of, put him in the ring with anyone, whether it's the New Day, whether it's Imperium, put Sheamus in the ring with anyone, if it's Bobby or Roman, and you can make a good match. That's where Sheamus is, and he's a professional, he's a pro, and he got, he was over at Clash of that was in Wales, so he's over tremendously in his home kind of area, region, country, if you will, at Clash at the Castle, and I'm so happy that he'd been in WWE that long, but was able for him and Drew McIntyre to get those ovations. That was phenomenal.
Yep.
So really,
And,
really good stuff. I think this will continue. I think this particular feud will move on for a while, and I think it's going to be a lot of fun.
And another good thing for Sheamus is that he has been Triple H's boy, since he came in. So yeah, he will always have, be in the good graces as long as he performs the way he has been. Here's something I didn't expect next. When they go to their commercial, there was a in memoriam for Queen Elizabeth II. I thought that was a classy moment. I was waiting for some clip package of English wrestling, but that didn't happen. Just her face. That was nice. They didn't have to do that, but they did. And then we got a segment with the Usos backstage with Sami. We could spend the rest of this show talking about how great Sami Zayn is. I mean, he's so. Everything you've seen of him up until this point has been great, but he has taken it to this next level, being this fourth Uso. He's amazing, and his chemistry with Jay is just outstanding. They were out there before they got the mic, though. Corey Graves was introduced as Cole's partner for the night. Pat McAfee is taking like several months off to do college football. That kind of came out of nowhere for me. It makes me sad because I think Pat is great. Not having Pat on the mic for SmackDown, I think, will hurt, but thank goodness they have a real pro like Corey Graves. Does this move the needle for you guys? You guys have any opinions on Pat not being there? Is it going to help hurt anything before we talk about the Usos and Sikoa?
I do enjoy Pat McAfee, but I don't know that it's going to hurt. I mean, the Bloodline has been my favorite thing about WWE, even when it sucked. And that was pretty recently. And it's funny, we definitely could spend the next hour talking about Sami Zayn. He's awesome. I was skeptical about Sami part of the Bloodline and the Usos because he's great, but they have really turned him so much into a comedy character that I was like, the Usos are serious. The Bloodline is serious. Like, I don't know that I want to see Sami get in Roman's face because Roman is like, he's a real badass and he comes across as a badass. But it's been gold. I mean, it's been so good. I'm not sure how they threaded this needle, but on paper it shouldn't have worked. But it's funny. The Usos still seem serious. Roman is still serious, and yet it's almost refreshed the Bloodline. Because I mean, we're going on 2 years now, right, with the title, which is still great. But it's really like refreshed it, and it's exciting. And I mean, I like similar to when I was a kid, could not wait for The Rock to get and do a promo. I cannot wait to see what Sami's going to say. I can't wait to see what dancing or what he's going to do. It's gold.
And they know what they have in Sami, and they're featuring him heavily in this line. They've created the storyline as a comedy feature just to sort of highlight Sami because they know he can take the ball and run with it. Cheats, what do you think?
I think Sami's gold. I will have to, before we go too far, I want to reference my man Iron Sheik, who actually posted the only Queen Elizabeth I recognize is Macho Man Randy Savage's Miss Elizabeth. It was hilarious.
Miss Elizabeth.
It was so good. But I'm with you and Ali 100%. But I guess I had more confidence in Sammy's talent in regards to just an overall comedic part. Like whatever that guy does tends to work. It's just really funny, and I was real even when they were doing the what I think is a really stupid Johnny Knoxville Sammy stuff. There was nobody else in the company that could do it. Like
Yep.
Sammy was that good and could make it work to the best it could, even though it was absolutely ridiculous, right? So, uh, the way I think what happened and what happens is when Roman decided that he wasn't going to work every televised show anymore. He wasn't going to work a lot of the house shows. I think you're absolutely right, Ali. They had to figure out a way to make the bloodline fresh, for lack of a better term. You're not going to have the tribal chief there. I didn't know we would have this kind of absence of Paul Heyman so long, but instead of giving Heyman like the mic and just like work the Usos, now you've got this Sammy kind of Uso relationship, and you bring in Solo. I think it makes it where we can carry this bloodline, we can carry the titles to WrestleMania if they keep this, because then Roman comes back for the big stuff, and Heyman hopefully one day will come back, and I do think that it's exciting. In regards to McAfee, hey, I really like Pat McAfee, Elliot. I think he's really good. I think he fits right in. I think what happens is you take for granted wrestling commentary until you get a bad one, and then when you start to get bad commentary, or you get commentary that may have lost his zip on their fastball, Jim Ross at AEW, then you notice it. You notice how troubling it is. But if you get really like seamless commentary, it just fits. And hey, look, let's just call it what it is now. Michael Cole and Corey Graves are two of the best in the business. If they put them on SmackDown, they're going to be 100% fine. Raw, the answer, believe it or not, because they kind of went through a couple of different Raw iterations. I was rooting for Adnan Virk because I like him as a human being. I like him from Cinephiles and all the stuff he did over at ESPN, but it just didn't fit. It didn't work.
Yep.
And Jimmy Smith works. Brian Saxon and Corey Graves made that work. Graves and Cole are the two best. Put them on Friday night on SmackDown. I don't think you lose a beat. The question is, what do you do with Raw? Do you bring a third person back to that desk? Because they've got a really good desk at NXT as well. With I believe it's
Isn't Graves going to do double duty? I would just assume.
I don't know. I mean, it's so hard. It's so taxing to get them at every show and do those things. And I don't think you need to. I think you'd be able to make it work. Now, again, AEW has this kind of rotating commentary desk thing that kind of makes it challenging to figure out who's going to be there from week to week. I mean, we assume we kind of know who the pillars are, right? Like Excalibur's going to be there. Taz will probably be there, but they've got Jericho. They've got like rolling kind of commentary. Right. Jim Ross seems to come out when he feels like it, but
it's entertaining. And I'll just say this. Maybe I'm imagining it, but I feel like Michael Cole has gotten less annoying and obnoxious since Vince is not shouting in his ear.
I think for sure he has. I might have read this thing before Vince, or there's. I mean, you've heard enough interviews with Michael Cole. You know enough if you've done your research that having someone screaming. Renee Young has talked about it. Renee Paquette has talked about it. That and we don't need to experience it personally to know that. Of course, that wasn't going to work, but I think commentary will roll on as well. So Sikoa was introduced. There's a new Uso. They keep throwing him out. Rikishi's got 3 sons in the business. Sami Zayn tweeted, "Don't you mean a 4th kid?" Which was great. Continues that. Drew comes out, interrupts them. They announce a main event, Drew and Sikoa, for later on that night. I would imagine they're going to start feuding. We'll get to their main event later. Well, moving on. We'll touch on this real quickly because there's news about this team as well. But at the time of SmackDown, the tag team champions, women's side, were Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez. In their match against Toxic Attraction on Friday Night SmackDown, they won. They retained their titles. The match is fine. I think there's the obvious is some glaring deficiencies in Aaliyah's game. But what I took from that match was they were protecting Gigi Dolan because I think they see some star potential in her, and they were really spotlighting Raquel Rodriguez, as they should be, because she is probably the next big star to come out of there. So they had a match. It was fine. The tag team champs went on to Monday, and we'll get to that. But I thought they're protecting Gigi because I see some star power in Gigi Dolan. Does anyone have a take on Toxic Attraction, or can we just move on?
I'll just quickly say that I've been following Aaliyah for a while because I always have some solidarity with my brown peoples. I'm not sure why she's still struggling because she has been working at it for a while. Maybe she just hasn't had enough in-ring time with really experienced people. I don't know, but yeah, that was sad to see. But I'll say Raquel Rodriguez, what a star! Like every time I see her, I'm like, man, this.
Yeah, she seems to have it. She seems to have it all.
She's great. So very excited and hoping, cross my fingers. Not that I expect Elliot to see this, but my girl, I'm rooting for you. I'm hoping that it works out.
For sure. Yeah, like she's.
Help me out. What does she not have?
I saw
the in-ring ability.
Well, she lacks some size, which she can't help, but she does. I don't think she has a dynamic enough personality yet or a skill set that helps overcome that. I don't want her gone. I'm not something to say let's take her off TV. No, make her a viable singles and tag team partner. But she especially compared to who else was in the ring, I think Gigi and the other girl was JCJ. Don't know much about some of these NXT women, but when you looked at all four of them and what they can do and how they can move, Aaliyah seemed the most out of place and uncomfortable to me.
Yeah, I feel like her gimmick, which I'm not exactly sure how they've repackaged her, but like in NXT for the few times that she showed up, she kind of had one of that, I'm a hot girl and I'm better you than you kind of gimmick, right? Which is a common gimmick, and then it usually evolves into something else. But the matches I used to watch in NXT, when it's just her, it's a singles match, her and one other person, I thought she had great charisma, but you're right. In this one, it was like either she was trying to shoehorn herself into it, or they had just given her not good direction on what to do, or maybe they didn't give her any direction, and she was just like, sort of a split player.
Right.
That was just supposed to make sure the match went fine, and she wasn't supposed to break out.
Yeah. Well, as a SmackDown, she's tag team champion, so you got to give it to her. They then went to a clip package about the confrontation with Adam Pearce and Ronda Rousey. The only thing that really we take from this is when Cole discussed what WWE was doing to handle Adam Pearce, they made some references to some either a third-party investigator or investigation. Was this a shot at AEW? Yes or no? Are they trolling AEW? Ali, do you not know what I'm referring to? Or so they showed the clip package, and Pearce kind of went off on company management, I guess the previous SmackDown. So Cole then they shoot back to the desk. Cole says his comments were not reflective of not unprofessional, and as a result he's been maybe suspended pending an investigation. They made an allusion that sounded, if you're a fan, very similar to something that's going on in TK's company. So, and there was one other thing that happened Raw that we'll touch on quick too. That it's a creative department in WWE is either it's coming from Triple H or somebody saying, hey, make it subtle, but not too subtle. Make it so no one's going to say we care, but let's just need a little bit. Mark, am I making that up? Am I working myself?
No, I don't think WWE's above trolling what's happening in another company right now.
In fact, I think that's their bread and butter. They love
that. I think it's funny. I think it's funny, and I think that they can be, as long as they're not, and I don't think they are, as long as they don't get obsessed with what the other company. I think that's what what AEW does. The AEW is kind of obsessed with what WWE does and programs to an extent around being counter programming. Yep. Well, when you're the A side of this, you don't have to do that, but it's harmless to poke the bear a little bit or poke needle. And make a little bit of fun at the expense of the situation. And I think, I don't think WWE's ever been above that. I think they'll continue to do it, and I'll continue to laugh.
Yeah. I think they continue to do it on Monday. We'll talk about it. But Ali, what?
Yeah, I was going to say, I think WWE absolutely follow AEW. I think they're watching every single thing that happens. They're keeping close track of it. They pretend like they won't, and then they do the needling.
Yeah, and Triple H isn't, but he's getting an email with a summary of anything that's
Right.
important. Sure.
Yeah,
Well,
maybe
I mean-
Triple H isn't himself watching it,
Right,
but 100%.
Right.
They've got to be mindful because they'll have someone like Triple H say, "I don't watch it, I don't care," or whatever. He says he knows what's going on, but then in a previous Ariel Helwani interview, who I love that guy, Paul Heyman says he watches everything. He's like, I watch everything. If there's an indie guy wrestling in Topeka, Kansas against another indie guy, and I can watch it, I'm gonna watch it. And Paul Heyman makes these, makes notes and tells people what he thinks when he was in those creative positions. I think he told at the last report that I got, he is just talent. He was not in any of the creative decisions at the time when he was kind of doing the Roman Reigns stuff. But before that, he was. And he's like, yeah, I watch everything. If there's two 18-year-olds wrestling anywhere, I'm going to watch it. So
yeah, and there's no doubt, just like the president, that Triple H gets a daily briefing of what's going on. All right, so moving on. Ronda wins the fatal 5-way for #1 title. I think everyone saw that coming. Her and Shayna had a little confrontation backstage where they teased putting the band back together again. Do you want to see Ronda and Shayna in a program down the road?
I'm into it.
Yeah, I am too. I'd see it.
Ronda,
I'd rather see them fight each other.
Yeah, I'd rather see them fight each other than be a tag
team. I think it leads to them fighting each other.
No doubt about it. All right. Our friends Hit Row and Street Profits took on Maximum Male Models and Los Lotharios in a weird 8-man tag match. Let's try to put 40 seconds on the clock, get any thoughts out of it that we need to. The only thing exciting is maybe we might see a return of LA Knight, perhaps.
Right. That's the story. That's
really the story. Here's what I'll say. Los Lotharios and obviously MMM now, they need talent like that to fill 18 minutes to give some segment of their fans a laugh, be it women who want to stare at good-looking guys, whether it's kids who just like sort of the whole act. But, there's definitely other talent that's not getting featured right now that I'd rather see in that position, but for lots of reasons. But yeah, there's guys will all have jobs for a while. I don't think they're getting cut anytime soon. But Hit Row and Street Profits continue to sort of impress. Montez is still a big star. We're waiting for that eventual breakout, but I don't think it needs to happen anytime soon. Let's see. Okay, well here's my thought. The only thing I want to say in that match is that was a bit of sort of a big time spot fest with lots of over the ropes, through the ropes. The IWC criticizes AEW for that. Does WWE not get enough criticism for doing a lot of the same stuff that AEW gets heat for with sort of the high flying acts? What do you think?
Well, WWE doesn't do it that often.
Yeah,
AEW,
it's like one match out of a show.
Yeah, I really felt it in that match, and that's a good point. If they're only doing it once a show, then is it happening? Yeah, it's happening in most of the matches on AEW, I guess. Okay,
I think the biggest question is, well, that's not the biggest, but is Maximum Male Models just like a dud? I was really kind of excited for them, like the rollouts and stuff like that. And now that they're kind of here and gotten in-ring action, they're not very good. I mean, Mansoor deserves better if you're going to be honest with yourself and me and so forth. Maybe LA Knight, like a return of LA Knight in the group, could save them, but they're like they're instantly below mid card, right? Like they're not. It was just really a disappointing type kind of situation.
They broke up Mansoor and Mustafa Ali to put Mansoor here.
This just doesn't make any sense to me.
Was that a Vince move? They started under Vince, right? I mean, yeah, Triple H didn't create that, and Triple H seems to be the one who's put the brakes on it. And one thing Triple H has done is brought back Braun Strowman. He powerbombed Otis. He powerbombed the Alpha Academy when they interrupted him. Braun is back. He'll get into it. He'll be a star. It's great. I'm giving like a thumbs slightly tilted up for Braun. I'm not a fan of sort of him as a person or his politics, but
Right.
I'm not watching the show for his politics. I'm seeing how big he can lift a guy up and throw him down, and as long as they don't put that train whistle on his theme, he can come out and start taking down giants. But yeah, he's not a needle mover for me, but I bet he is for some people. Braun, what do we think?
Yeah, I feel the same way that you feel, Elliot, and unfortunately it bleeds over to my Raquel Rodriguez thoughts because they're a couple. They're an item together and been together for a long time. So good for them. I'm glad they're back in the same company. Excited, but outside of the ring, I'm like I can't trust these guys. So I'll be interested to see where Strowman places um in the pantheon. Like, does he get a title shot at Roman? Does he get one before WrestleMania, like in LA? Like, where does does he get let's get the two biggest, baddest like dudes in the company, and does he go after the U.S. title with Bobby? There's a lot of options right now with Braun Strowman returning, and does that mean there's going to be some type of Bray Wyatt like Braun Strowman, thing? So who knows?
I hope not.
No, there's a chance, right?
I'm sure it's definitely a chance, but I want to see Bray come back as a solo, and not a reformed Wyatt family. Ali, what do you think about Braun?
I really enjoyed Braun Strowman when he was in WWE, especially he had that run where he was definitely going up and up and up, and then I think it all fell apart after his match with Brock Lesnar when he lost, and they really should have given him the title then and kept him moving. So, my man's up there. He's almost 40. I don't know that you've got 3-4 more years just to kind of play around with him. So I would say, build him up for another year with some good storylines, keep making him, and then give him a few runs at the title. I think he has upsides as a heel or a baby face. And some of my favorite Roman Reigns stuff was him and Braun Strowman. Like the flipping over the ambulances, I'm not finished with you, like beating him up in the beginning of Raw and then coming up again 2 hours later, middle of Raw, and beating him up again. It was so much fun, and it's tailor-made for WWE.
Tailor-made. He's not going to do anything. He's not going to control any narrative. He's not going to make any impact. He needs. I
don't want to see a top rope missile drop kick from Braun. I don't want to see any of that stuff.
Yep.
He's right. See him pick someone up and throw him out of the ring.
Yep. SmackDown's main event was the aforementioned Drew McIntyre versus Solo Sikoa. They brawled. As obviously the bloodline got involved, the Street Profits to a big pop came out to make some saves. Montez had a huge spot, and then I think this is happening under the Triple H era. I actually got popped when Karrion Kross came in the ring and the screen went from color to black. What a great idea! That's a fantastic move that you can do to enhance that character. He choked him out. It makes Karrion Kross look scary. It makes him look intimidating. It gives you that Bray Wyatt feel, which is just awesome. The move, when you mess with the TV and when things seem to be out of control, is sometimes when wrestling is best. And I think Karrion Kross is a great character. And the way they featured him coming out and getting involved in this feud, and probably it looks like him and Drew will get into it down the road. I thought Drew was maybe going to start this program with Sikoa, but I think that's not going to happen. Karrion Kross, what do we think? Is Drew done with Roman? Is it going to continue? Is Karrion Kross going to keep making his presence felt? Let's talk about this for a minute or two, and then we'll go to Raw Monday. But what do we think about how the main event went off on SmackDown? Cheats?
Yeah, no, I thought it was as good as it can be. And I did like the finish. I'm not with you on the whole black and white TV screen thing. Didn't love it as much.
No,
no, I thought they were scary enough. You've got Scarlett there. You've got Karen. I don't really necessarily need the changing of the television. However, I thought they made Solo look good. They made Drew look good. Karrion comes in, like you said, the Street Profits run out. I think that was a really, really good finish to a SmackDown. I was really, really excited. I was excited to see it. I was excited about the way it ended, and it didn't damage anyone. It didn't bury Solo. It didn't bury Drew. Karrion looks like a badass. I enjoyed it a lot.
Yep. Ali?
I enjoyed it a lot. I've always wondered why Karrion was so, like, why they mishandled him so much. That was got to be one of the craziest Vince things. But glad to see him back. I am a little disappointed because I really wanted Drew to stay with the title picture. I just really want Drew with the title. I think now's his time. I think he's as hot as he's ever going to be. And I just think, I really thought he should have won at Clash of the Castle. I think that was his moment. I thought it was the right time to take the title off of Roman, and Roman could have won it back, right? Like, that might have been even better if had a rematch Solo came out. But that being said, if they're taking Drew away from the title picture, got no problems with Karrion Kross coming in and using this as a way to present him and, sort of build him up again the right way.
I hesitate to call it a mess because he's been champion for over 700 days. He hasn't been pinned in 1,000 days. But this unified title that he's holding is a mess that Triple H has to clean up between now and WrestleMania. There's lots of options that we can debate whether or not we want to see 2 titles, 1 title. But it's just legit a mess because it is kind of uncharted, and we're too far down the road to have it be a random thing. It has to be a big thing or not a thing at all. So in the weeks that come, we'll see, who rises to the top, who gets brought into a potential, or really it's going to be a scenario that's going to cause, Roman to somehow lose, but keep one of these streaks alive. But who it will be, we'll see. SmackDown.
As long as it's not Brock Lesnar.
As long as it's not Brock Lesnar. I think we're ready for something else too. So in addition to the black and white, as he's choking him out, the camera also faded to black, still under Michael Cole's voice as to, what's going on. And if it like nice little production touch, WWE always does that well. All right. Well, we're 36 minutes in and we've covered one of the 2 shows. Now we got to cover the 3-hour show, but we're going to move just as quickly through that. Raw took place Monday, September 12th out of Portland, Oregon, another fantastic town. If you've never been there, go to Portland. Opens the show to probably, I think, the hottest guy on Raw right now, Seth freaking Rollins. The crowd sang his song. They ate him up. Big pop. Before he even really got going, out comes Matt Riddle. He's Matt Riddle now, not just Riddle. Kudos for Triple H for giving some names back. And then all of a sudden, Judgment Day comes out. So they just are bringing out their heavy artillery right at that gate. Both of you watched Raw, right? Yeah. Okay.
I'm familiar. Yeah.
Okay, good. So we can move on with that. So we can just go with that. So we had everybody come out. Finn made a kind of funny Portland relaxed laws weed joke. Crowd like that. That was funny. He told, he said something to the Riddle. What did he say? He said, I know the laws are a lot different here in Portland, but I don't think you're seeing straight. He was in the Judgment Day formally invited Riddle to join their group. Did y'all think there was a chance he was going to do it? No. Nope. He gives a big no. He clears the ring. Who else came out? Judgment Day came out, right? And Finn and Riddle cleared them out, and he threw everybody out, and they went to commercial. So Riddle declines the invitation to join the Judgment Day, but the Judgment Day will make their presence felt later on in the episode. We go to commercial. We come back from commercial, and Riddle and Finn Balor are like halfway in a match. Mm-hmm. Balor, he's like slinging anything. So a match had started. It was in progress. More interference in this match. Riddle is probably one of the few talents in that roster that could probably kill you the fastest. He legit could kill you. The fact that he must be using some sort of restraint out there. He probably doesn't get the credit he deserves, but he's turning into a pretty decent wrestler. His character is not for everybody, but Finn has been one of the best, probably a top 15 for going on a dozen years. And Riddle looked like he was doing just fine with him. What do y'all think about Matt Riddle and how he's being presented lately? Ali, why don't you start?
Yeah, I have really enjoyed Riddle the last couple of years, and I know that when Vince was in charge, again, he veered a little too comedic, but honestly, he did it really well. He was still really fun without seeming like a joke in terms of being a threat. And that's probably because I think a lot of people knew about his MMA background. So I like this match. I really think Finn got done dirty, and I don't know. Perhaps his time is over. Maybe he'll never get a title run again. But glad to see him in a serious storyline. I do kind of think this whole Judgment Day thing is confusing to me, like how it all came about, and like I feel like they're kind of jobbers, and I'm like.
Finn did pick up the win with interference,
Yeah.
from Seth Rollins. But yes, I mean, Balor is now more of a a kingmaker, stable guy, not a viable singles champion. Cheats.
Yeah, and I think I think he hit it 100% on the nail. I think Ali's 100% right and I'm trying to figure out where Judgment Day fits in, where Finn, Damian, Rhea Ripley, because they're super talented. They're super they should be.
These are potential top stars, like
right?
Damian
They are potential
and
top stars in the company, and I feel like the right thing to do was to move Edge out, let Finn be in charge, but then you just don't give him anything. Like you don't really. I thought they would when they did this move, when they moved Edge out, put Finn in charge of Judgment Day. I really started thinking more along the lines of how Finn ran Bullet Club, and they were going to just kind of go gather more people and run roughshod over the company.
We talked about Ciampa maybe joining them,
and that did not happen at all. Now it has gone more into like this almost like kind of spiritual Satanist ritual type group, and it's like, and they're not running roughshod over anyone. Like they're terrorizing the Mysterios good and well, but that's not going to put them in the picture where I thought they could run, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I know everyone's enjoying Dom Mysterio, right?
But that's great, right? You're supposed to. I think if you're the Finn Balor led Judgment Day, you're supposed to collect talent, use that talent again, like a more of a Bullet Club type thing, and just run roughshod over the company. Keep getting members. Who's going to join? Almost like an invasion type thing.
It's really almost like the closest thing is almost like DX. You've got
but it's just not. It just didn't do it, and they didn't give him any clout.
Yeah. Rhea Ripley is showing up to be the enforcer of the group, and I'm here for it. I like it.
That part is fun. And to answer your question, Elliot, I think Riddles has gotten better. I think Riddle is top talent where you can put him in the ring with Seth and have really main event type matches. I think Riddle's that good.
A lot of it on his shoulders. A lot of it was he got a good rub from being with Randy Orton for a while, who's beloved. So it's definitely all gone well for him so far. What did happen at the end of this confrontation was Rollins stomped out Riddle again, grabs him, looks at him, says it's over, and it appears to be over. That seems to have run its course, and we've seen the end of Rollins and Riddle, I think, for now. Because I think Rollins might be moving on because he's mentioned talking about going after a title now. So we'll see if that's the end of Rollins and Riddle. It probably should be. They might have one more in them, but I like to see Rollins go on a winning streak. So I don't want to see Riddle sort of get his comeuppance right now. So there was a Damage Control interview talking about their match they were having later on the night against the World Tag Team Champs. Bayley is back to, she's gotten her sea legs under her. She's fantastic, and she's got two really impressive wrestlers with her. So they look to be taking over the world, and we'll find out in a few minutes if they were successful. And then there was they go to a promo package. It was very dark. It featured a silhouette of one Dominic Mysterio. He gave a promo. Here's what I wrote down, and then correct me if I was wrong. I actually wrote down not terrible. Or was it terrible? I've heard both opinions already.
That's all y'all. That's y'all.
Okay,
tell me.
Ali, was it terrible or not terrible?
Let me first preface by saying that I love Rey Mysterio and have loved him since the WCW days. I don't understand why Dom Mysterio is getting so much time. I mean, I have no ill will towards the guy. He works hard. I'm sure he's talented. I don't see it. It doesn't come across on the screen. I'm not interested in anything he's in. I only watch those matches because of Ray. So was it not bad? Sure, but I also don't really care.
Right. He unfortunately didn't get any time in the Performance Center. That did not help him at all. He's
not bad in the ring.
Hard.
He's fine in the ring.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't care. Like his character, he doesn't seem to have any charisma, to be honest.
Well, maybe his new parents, Rhea and Finn, can give him something that I want to see him succeed. He's a good but here's something I saw on Twitter today. He is older than like a lot of young AEW talent who is making big waves. He's only a year older than MJF. He's younger than like all those lucha, Sammy and all those guys. So like, yeah, he's not that young a guy anymore. And I think he's been in his dad's shadow for too long. He was mismanaged because he couldn't do it on his own, but they didn't let him get his own seasoning in. So there's Dom Mysterio for you. We're cheering for you, Dom. We want you to do well.
He's 25.
He's 25.
So people that want to know, he's 25.
That's mid-20s. All right, so
was The Rock champion when he was 25?
The Rock, there's been a lot.
I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Were you excited for Johnny Gargano to return and wrestle? I am.
Yeah, I love Johnny wrestling. Yeah.
So he cut a promo. We're glad he's back. But before his match, there was the women's tag team championship with Aaliyah and Raquel against Damage Control. This match went. Was there a lot of weren't a lot of hijinks in the match. Bailey did sort of save at one point, one of them. Io put her foot on the ropes, but in the end, we have new champs. This was the Aaliyah and Raquel Rodriguez's first title defense, and they came up on the losing end. Their reign ends at just a couple of weeks. And the team that we thought were going to walk out of Clash of Champions as champs now have the belts. Is this how they expected it to go? Are they fixing something? And are we happy that Damage Control has the belts? Ali?
I don't really have strong opinions one way or the other. I had not been following this very closely. So when it happened, I wasn't shocked or surprised or disappointed. I was just like, again, I'm kind of open to it.
Okay.
Yeah, I don't think Raquel and Aaliyah are a team. Like, I don't think they're a tag team. I think they're kind of just thrown together.
They were put together for the tournament.
Yeah, so they can go their separate ways. It's fine. And I do think that kind of the Bailey faction here and Dakota Kai and Io Shirai from, longtime NXT Black and Gold folks will be more of a cohesive tag team, right? So, and I think this sets it up for Sasha and Naomi to come back, say we're the real champions, and you fight those two guys. You fight those two women, Damage Control versus Naomi and Sasha. Bailey's who does Bailey root for in the corner? Her best friend or her team? Possibilities are endless, but not to bury the lead, which was Naomi, Sasha, Bailey, and Titus O'Neil all at the Yankees game just a couple days ago, and posting all those pictures, which we know the WWE all supported and authorized. That tag team's coming back, and they're going to come back for the titles. Watch.
I think you're probably right. I think that's the right call too. I mean, you haven't built up too many other viable tag teams. You've put together a lot of women. Toxic Attraction, I think, is a viable tag team down the road, just because they've got chemistry together. They've been together. But
I think Mandy has to come up so Mandy has to leave NXT, get back on the main roster, and keep Toxic Attraction for it to work. Otherwise, you're hit row with no swerve.
I got you. Okay. So then we had the return of Johnny Wrestling, Johnny Gargano taking on Chad Gable. Johnny's one of the best out there. He had 9 months off. He's gotten his body back in shape. He picked up right where he left off. God, I could not stand Chad Gable for the longest time, but he is becoming somewhat obnoxiously entertaining, which is a plus in pro wrestling. Otis is no longer doing anything other than just being a brick wall, and that's good for Otis. It's just fine. Are we liking? Do we want more out of Chad Gable, or is he doing exactly what he needs to do right now?
I've liked Chad Gable for a long time. I always felt like he was mistreated and miscast because he's a great wrestler. He's got a great look. He's a tad small, but he doesn't look it on screen. He looks like a hoss.
Mm-hmm.
But loved this. I think he's probably he's probably the right person to put with Johnny Gargano, who, by the way, looked amazing, felt amazing. I think his happiness really is coming through. Like he's in a good place. So to answer your question, I think he's where he needs to be, and I would love for him to get his time in the sun and find the right gimmick and go to the top, but I don't see that happening, and he's doing okay in this spot.
Yeah. Cheats?
Yeah, I agree 100%. I'm a Chad Gable fan. I like what he does. I think he's funny, and I mean he's probably not going to be kind of in any elevated roles anytime soon. So he gets TV time every week. He gets to talk on the mic every week. He's I think he's funny. I think Alpha Academy has kind of solidified their place of where they are, and that I'm okay with that. There's nothing wrong with that. And I love Johnny wrestling. I think they're on head-on collision with Theory. That'll be fun. So we'll see what happens.
Yeah, Theory came out, and those two were close in NXT, and I think that's going to be the first sort of feud for Johnny, which I think is a good one. Speaking of Theory, he was approached by none other than Kevin Owens, who might be my favorite wrestler in WWE. He came out, and he is someone who has had the reins taken off him. And I hope Triple H is just sort of smacking him on the ass and saying, "Go, boy, go do what you got to do." And he went out there and cut a great promo on Theory, all about, and Cheats will be right back, but a great Theory all about, prove who you are, not what you were given. It was vintage Kevin Steen, to be honest with you. I love seeing that fire and rage come out of KO. He's been probably the one who's been thrust most back into the spotlight thanks to Triple H, and he has the goods to run with it. Ali, I know you're a big KO fan. He also, and before you talk, he also started slapping Theory around, and then by all accounts, legit broke his nose, which just added to it. Sometimes, remember, Becky Lynch is who Becky Lynch is because she got her nose busted open the hard way by accident. So did Theory just have his Becky Lynch moment, or was that just an unfortunate right hand? What do you think about KO?
Well, KO he's not only super entertaining, he's a great worker. So I think that was just sometimes you have a mistake. But I'm a little disappointed that we're not going to get any more of the KO and what's his name? Elias and Ezekiel.
Ezekiel and Elias. No, I think both those guys are on the bench right now.
Yeah, they killed both of them. That was so funny. It shouldn't have worked, and I laughed all the time. But this kind of reminded me of a couple of years ago when Kevin Owens had won the U.S. title from Jericho, and he kind of debuted this Face of America kind of persona, and it was like a harder edge. That's a little bit of what that reminded me of. So I'm here for it. I'm ready for it. He's one of those wrestlers that, like, I don't know how he survived under the Vince era, but like he did, and he's awesome. So can't wait to see more from him.
No doubt about it. I just don't think KO challenges Roman. I think that has to shake out with the titles going and other branching off, and then whoever takes, if he stays on Raw, it'll be a Raw title. We're probably due for a draft also. So I think, things are going to be shaking up a lot in the next few weeks with that. We had Bianca Belair, the EST, the ladies champion, come out, issue an open challenge. It was answered by none other than SmackDown's former GM, Sonya Deville. They had a match. Sonya puts up a good fight. Belair gets the W. But then, as we all expected, Bayley then returns, and it appears to be that the Bayley Belair feud is now officially on. And that's what everyone wants to see. I think it's supposed to happen. Is Bayley, I'm guessing, will probably take the title off Belair somehow. May not be on the first defense, but Bayley is someone who should be carrying a title, and Belair has established herself, in my opinion, strong enough that she can lose and still be strong, and she will remain the title picture. And kind of like for that period of time where you had Bayley, Sasha, Charlotte, and then Becky became a regular, Ronda became a semi-regular to regular. Belair is now kind of firmly in that stratosphere, if you ask me. You agree, don't you?
Yeah, and I'm glad they didn't like tease us with this for months and months and months, because this is something like I'm a huge Bailey fan and have been since NXT, and it was hard to have her on the bench. There were so many times in the last year where I was like, God, I wish we had Bailey because this would be so much better.
Mm-hmm.
And it's exciting to have her back. I do think that definitely Belair should lose the title and then have a few months where she chases it and we build it up, and maybe there's some sort of, you know, moment when to overcome Bailey and her cronies, you know, Sasha and Naomi come back. You know, that's just some fantasy booking, but I could see that happening. I mean,
Oh, sure.
That's
Belair. I mean, like a lot of the other women too. Belair has such a long career ahead of her. We're going to see a really impressive heel run at some point. Yeah, she was a heel in NXT for a while, and she showed that she can do it. So I'm just sort of overall, I'm really excited to see the beginning of what might be like one of the, you know, I don't want to say legendary because you just never know, but the kind of career that is trajecting to be long and legendary and with lots of titles. I think she'll be in just that for the long haul. Well, up next, the wanted posters, the milk cartons, they paid off. Omos has been found. He returned. He went up against some local talent and kind of went back to being Omos. No real story that went with it, but what else do you do with a 7'5" guy who can barely wrestle and barely speak? You kind of put a mouthpiece with him, but it didn't go anywhere. This was just sort of like, hey, I'm still here. Maybe just to remind you that, you know, there is more than one giant in WWE. But Omos is back. Are we?
I love Omos. So I'm not.
I want the guy to succeed too. I don't hate
I love him. Where's Veer? Have we found Veer? Is Veer still missing?
Veer is still missing.
Okay,
but he's hurt. I actually like Veer.
Look at these two right here.
Like Omos, I'm allowed to like Veer.
Then we need a Veer Omos feud big time.
Right. Greg Khali. I want a faction: Veer, Omos, and Greg Khali.
That'd be great. MVP with the mouthpiece.
Veer was spotted on Twitter. He is still around. People were tossing out some ideas for how to repackage him. Maybe put him in Maximum Male Models. You know,
why? Why do we have to do these things?
No, you don't.
They did such a great build up for these guys.
It's like the same thing with Ronda. Like, don't force him to say things. He doesn't have to. Have him come out, have him beat somebody, and then once in a while, you involve him in a serious feud with a top level talent where he does a squash match and then gets defeated. Right? Like, I think people overthink it with Omos.
Well, there's room for Omos on the roster. There's room for Veer on the roster. On the roster, this is just another couple of storylines that Triple H is going to have to like clean up, figure out a way, see where it needs to go. I mean, I think he should have confidence in at least those guys as performers. None of them are going to go up against Gargano and put on a 5-star match, but you know, Omos can be in Judgment Day. I could see that.
Give me Veer Walter, I'd take it. Or Gunther. Give me Veer Gunther, I'll take it.
All right. Rollins was shown backstage. He was talking about titles earlier in the show. Lashley walks up on him. Rollins is kind of working Lashley as another MMA guy, making references to Riddle, and he wants to rid WWE of the MMA. That's a nice way to set up their feud. And there's going to be a title match next week on Raw. Lashley against Seth freaking Rollins. Early predictions. How do you see that going down next week? Are they going to actually put the title on Rollins? He probably could benefit for some gold. So could Lashley. This is going to be a big fight feel. I don't think it's one and done for these two. But next week, does the title change next week? You heard it here first. Make your call, Cheats.
I have no clue. Because I like this. I like when they've built up to. Now, here's the thing. WWE actively built up the U.S. title and Bobby. The fans, WWE Universe, built up Seth. So the question is, are they reading that universe love that, like, it's undeniable. Like I said, they were singing Seth's song overseas louder than they were singing anybody else's song.
No doubt.
But Bobby is about as over as Bobby's ever been. I'm loving he's playing to the crowd. He's doing things that Lashley didn't even do when he was with MVP, which I thought was going to be his height. So does the title change hands next week? I'm going to say no, but I think this could be the start of something pretty cool.
Okay. Ali, does it change hands or does Lashley walk away with the belt?
I feel like Seth needs a win, but they have built up Bobby. Like, they take Bobby very seriously. Even Vince took him very seriously and protected him. So I don't know. I'm stuck. So I'm gonna just go with my random gut. I think the title does change, and I think then maybe Lashley gets it back, or maybe they move Lashley onto something else. Because I think, I mean, I would love to see Lashley get another run with the title. He was such a great champion. I loved it.
I would, and both of those two, I kind of want to see in the mix for when that world title does get split. I think actually, Seth can make a great run with it. I think his time's for that. I want to see Lashley again. So maybe this title swaps next week, and maybe Rollins drops it to his next guy. Maybe even to Riddle again. Who knows? Where maybe the Judgment Day. Who knows? And I like to see both of those guys get into that title picture if there inevitably will be one. But like we said earlier, there'll be a draft pretty soon. A lot of this could shake out differently. So who knows? All right. So we got two more things that happened on Raw. We talked about it a little bit earlier, so let's get the last thing out of the way quickly because I want to spend our last few minutes talking about the other thing. Main event, Edge, Dominic. Dominic showed everything he's capable of. He didn't look like a fool out there. Edge is still getting after it so well. Edge, I guess at one point, Ray inserted himself again, I think, to further the Ray and Dominic feud. Who knows? But Judgment Day ended up attacking Edge. Dom puts a chair to Edge. They lay Edge out in the end. Ray was tossed into the chair, but he's still sort of sticking his nose in, and him and Edge almost came to blows. They're going to see things differently, I think, and they might eventually lock it up. But this is all, I think, toward a blow off somewhere over the next. This could almost go till WrestleMania with Ray and Dom. But that happened. We all love Edge. We all love Ray. We all think what we think of Dom. We talked about our thoughts about Judgment Day. So let's just put that on the back burner for now. Because what I want to talk about was a segment right before that with The Miz. This has been sort of the feature, almost one of the co-features of Raw the last few weeks has been Miz being tortured and stalked by Dexter Lumis. He's shown up at the ring. He's shown up in his car. And there was an interview with Miz where him and Maurice were getting ready to leave for the evening. They had the kids, the nanny. Dexter was shown very quickly in the window at the beginning of the segment. But as Miz and Maurice get in their truck and they leave, they go through their gates, the camera pans back over to the window where now Dexter Lumis is inside the house. The call is coming from inside the house. And he holds up a drawing. He's a very prolific artist, Dexter Lumis. He holds up a drawing, a very creepy Firefly Funhouse type drawing featuring Ms. Maurice and some kids behind them. So that is definitely not over. I like where this is going. I've been saying this for several weeks in a row. Invasion and weird angles when they work are really great. And I really like what they're doing, Dexter Lumis, doing a lot while saying absolutely nothing. It's working for me. Cheats, your thoughts on Miz and Lumis right now? Yeah,
I don't have to say much. I'm with you. I like the introduction of Dexter. I like him being in the storyline with kind of stalking Miz. I think it fits. I think I like it. And Dexter is a creepy son of a gun. So I keep it going. I like it.
Ali,
I love it, and I rarely say that about anything to do with the Miz, but I love this so much. It's so random and so camp. And I'm like, where's this going to go? Because honestly, I don't even know that I want to see them fight. I just want this to keep going.
Keep going, yeah, for weeks.
Yeah, it was like when they were like when he was like baby caressing him in the ring after the cage thing. I was like, I don't want this to end. What's happening here? I was like, just let him go.
When I saw him outside in the door, I was like, oh, that's creepy. Then he held up the picture. I was like, no, he didn't. What?
Loved it.
Like,
really
good. At a festival to draw this? What is this?
I'll promote. I'm officially submitting this as my audition video for WWE Creative. What I would have rather seen, is when the Miz stands up. Maurice comes in, honey, we got to go. I would like them to have walked off screen and then have Dexter slowly be upside down from the fireplace, just sticking his head down and showing himself, and then have them end the promo that way. What they did was great, but if I had done it, I was waiting. I was staring at the fireplace. After they first flashed him in the window, I said, oh, he's going to be moving around in different windows. But I would have liked to have seen him kind of come right down, like he came from under the ring the other week, just slide it right down the chimney, upside down, Spider-Man style, and they should have gone to black. That's what I would have said. So we like where it's going. Raw is over. It ended with the Edge and Mysterio, and who knows where that's going. But we have come to the end of the debut of WCWF Tuesday night. We're going to come up with a name for it. Is it the B show? Is it the E show? Is it the WCWF side hustle, side project? We'll get ideas from that. I want to say thank you to both of you for coming on. Cheats, you're going to be with us behind the scenes mostly in the weeks to come, but we know you'll make your presence felt. Ali, my friend, you are welcome anytime. And we hope you can make it to lots of shows, and we hope you guys enjoyed it out there. Please follow us on the socials. Anywhere where the show isn't yet will be in a matter of days, like Apple and all those places. So thanks for listening. On Thursday's show, we counted out, but on this show, we're just going to give and we'll say yourselves out with that. So that's what it is this week. I'm EJ the Collector. Thanks for watching. See you guys.